Nigeria has got to be the country that garners the most attention on the continent, and with reason. It's the largest economy in Africa, home to over 213 million inhabitants, which makes it the world's sixth most populous country. It's the birthplace of Fela Kuti and his Afrobeats revolutionary musical movement, a cradle of culture, knowledge, and literary prowess. A place where the entertainment industry has made waves, but not only rippling in Africa, also worldwide. But Nigeria is also known for its growing list of systemic problems, from deep-seated corruption to unprecedented inflation, high criminality rates, and rise in youth unemployment. Over a month ago, the West African nation held a highly anticipated presidential election that many Nigerians hoped would pave the way to significant political and social change in their country. But as the voting day came and went, it quickly became clear to many that the polls did not meet the free and fair criteria. Since February 25th, thousands of Nigerians, if not more, have denounced day in, day out what they believe was widespread electoral fraud. As President-elect Bola Tinubu is set to officially take office on May 29th, Nigerian dissident voices are still resisting the official results and have their eyes set on the Court of Appeal that is yet to rule on a petition to overturn the election. On this new episode of Beyond the Noise, we check the pulse of the Nigerian nation as it finds itself at yet another significant crossroads in its political history. Don't forget, before we start this episode, to subscribe to Beyond the Noise Africa on YouTube to find out more about what we do, our deep dives on all things happening and pertaining to the African continent. It takes place right here. Let's first back up a little bit and give you the context to this February 25th election. Since the country's return to democracy in 1999, Nigeria's presidency has rotated between two political parties, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, now in opposition, and the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC. But in the lead up to this year's election, a third candidate representing the Labour Party emerged as a serious contender in the race. You may remember the three main candidates, but I'll remind you. First, there was Bola Tinubu, the 70-year-old veteran politician, former governor of Lagos, multi-millionaire, who officially won the race by garnering 37% of the vote. Then, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, 76, was second in place in the presidential run with 29% of the vote and was running for the sixth and probably the last time around. And finally, Peter Obi, the third place finisher. At 61, he was the youngest of the major candidates and rose to popularity thanks to a youth movement calling itself the Obedience. Now, the other new thing about this election was the introduction of an advanced electronic system known as BVAS, which was supposed to make the manipulation of results more difficult and the polls more transparent. Some $2 billion were invested in it for this election, with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, being the major institution in charge of overseeing this process. The idea was that iRev, the results viewing portal, would be displaying digital copies of results sheets from all the nearly 180,000 polling units once they were signed. But what ended up happening was that data on the portal remained incomplete, and that is even when the winner was announced. This drove rumors of electoral manipulation on social media and fueled mistrust in the results. Reports from international observers also cast a serious shadow on the process. The European Union, the Commonwealth, and other bodies reported failures in the very system designed to prevent vote manipulation. They criticized the INEC for poor planning, but also for voting delays. Of course, they stopped short of calling this fraud. On the other hand, Nigerian voters also reported several issues at their own polling station, including the presence of armed men who intimidated crowds into leaving the polling stations without casting their ballots. Social media, and Twitter in particular, soon became the hub for information exchange about the vote count and the place where Nigerians could express frustration, anger, but also resistance, as Waimi Belube, a youth activist, told us.
We, the youth of Nigeria, we have been through a lot. 2020 NSAS, that was a global situation where everybody saw that we had promised ourselves then in 2020 that we were going to get active in the coming presidential election. We start to watch the process and we realize that the results that are being collated and the pictures that we have, they're two different things. Where did INEC get the numbers from? It was like, oh, they're trying to gaslight us. Results are being called and we see that the numbers are being slashed by half. To see that you wake up one morning and you wake up to bad news and it doesn't feel like someone was elected, but it feels like the entire nation was mourning the death of democracy. It is heartbreaking. Perhaps if we did not have social media, they would have shut us up a long time ago because we know the role that the mainstream media is playing. They didn't really tell our stories, but thankfully, with the help of social media, we were able to get attention of so many people nationwide to call for SOS that, hey, this is what is happening in Nigeria. Democracy is dying. Yeah, we will just force ourselves, make it a duty and an obligation to get involved in the system, get involved in politics. Just keep talking, because what you're saying, people are definitely hearing you, and someone will definitely listen and give you an answer.
As we speak, countless tweets are posted every day about what many Nigerians have dubbed the stolen mandate. But one question remains. Does online dissidence and resistance have the ability to actually move the needle and affect real change? Well, according to human rights lawyer Martin Obono, this has more to do with keeping freedom of expression alive and long-lasting in the country.
The fact that the government doesn't have legitimacy or doesn't seem to have legitimacy right now, and people are voicing out on a daily basis through articles, through tweets, through posts, through blogs, through videos, archives that for posterity. So you can't therefore come back to in the next 100 years or so long as we are in a digital era, to say the 2023 election that was conducted by Professor Yakub Mohammed was actually transparent elections. There will be evidence. So momentarily, you could go to the street, burn tires and do all that and cause some kind of havoc. But if it's not documented, it's not going to have that long-term effect. So whichever way people decide to protest or to, air their grievances and anger or disappointments is acceptable so long as it's within the confines of the law. One will kill you, one wouldn't.
As I've mentioned earlier, all eyes are now fixed on the judiciary body after the two opposition candidates filed petitions to overturn the election results. Peter Obi's petition also says that Tinubu was not qualified to be a candidate in the first place because of a 90s drug-related forfeiture of nearly $500,000 from one of his accounts in a U.S. bank, a case for which Bola Tinubu denies any wrongdoing. Are the judges likely to cancel the election results? Well, I have to say that there is no such precedent in Nigerian history. Though legal challenges are common in the country, including by outgoing President Muhammadu Buhari, who has unsuccessfully fought multiple election losses in the past, while the Supreme Court has never, so far, overturned a presidential election. So, barring any decision to the contrary from the courts, Tinubu will be sworn in on May 29th as successor to Muhammadu Buhari. Finally, it's safe to interrogate where the international community stands on the very issue of election fraud allegations. Despite what observers have said about the electoral process, some leaders were quick to congratulate Bola Tinubu for his win soon after the INEC announcement, including British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who expressed his support with a tweet stating, and I quote, "The UK-Nigeria relationship remains strong. I look forward to working together to grow our security and trade ties, opening up opportunities for businesses and creating prosperity in both our countries." The United States were also among the nations in the West to accept the results and express support to the President-elect Tinubu, a posture that many Nigerians have labeled insulting, disingenuous, and hypocritical. In an open letter to President Joe Biden, published in The Atlantic on April 6th, prominent writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie simply and bluntly asked, "Why is America congratulating the winner of this disastrous election?" The smoldering disillusionment felt by many Nigerians is not so much because their candidate did not win, as because the election they had dared to trust was, in the end, so unacceptably and unforgivably flawed. Congratulating its outcome, President Biden, tarnishes America's self-proclaimed commitment to democracy. Please do not give the sheen of legitimacy to an illegitimate process. The United States should be what it says it is. The Nigerian fighting spirit is still going strong, fueled by its politically engaged young population, who will keep holding their leaders accountable for the foreseeable future, it seems. A future which political analyst Régis Hounkpé believes still shows a lot of promise.
On voit la façon dont les Nigérians s'approprient rapidement Twitter, par exemple, ou Instagram, ou Facebook, et comment ils arrivent à faire véhiculer des messages, et je pense même à influencer le cours de l'histoire. J'espère que dans les années à venir, dans les cycles prochains à venir, le Nigeria pourra être doté d'hommes politiques et de femmes politiques, parce qu'il faut aussi le rappeler, il y a beaucoup de femmes, même si pendant cette élection, il n'y a qu'une candidate qui s'est présentée, mais il y a beaucoup de femmes qui s'investissent. Je crois, mais totalement, à l'émergence d'une classe politique qui soit féminisée, rajeunie, instruite et vraiment au fait des réalités de ce pays. Et pas forcément la même classe politique qui est faite de grands bourgeois, de grands hommes d'affaires, dont on sait que généralement les fortunes ne sont pas forcément les plus saines.
Now, this is of course a developing story that we are yet to uncover the ending to. Beyond the Noise will keep following it, monitoring it as it unfolds, and keep you posted on our social media platform. Now, I tell you, goodbye and take care. Until next time.